The movie A River Runs Through It inspired many people to check out fly fishing. But if you're in a quandary about how to learn how to fly fish, well, today's show is just for you. Today on Newswatch at 5:30, we are on location at the Bing Retreat. Joining us now is Barry Calder. He's the president of the Kingston and Area Fly Fishing Club. Barry, how long has the club been around?
This is our third full year, full seasons.
Why start a club?
It was a great surprise to me when I left Montreal to come to Kingston that there wasn't a fly fishing club here, and there never had been. I know there's a lot of fishermen, but no fly fishing club. So it was something that needed to be done.
And now the difference between reel fishing with a reel and fly fishing is, I think, night and day from the looks of it.
Not really. The technique of presenting the lure is somewhat different, but the actual fishing for the fish themselves is pretty much the same. It's the same fish. And we fish for them on top and in the middle and on the bottom of the water. With fly fishing, the presentation's a little different. That's really the only difference.
Are there certain types of fish that are better caught by fly fishing?
There is a mystique to the trout, of course. And the Bing Retreat is one of those that supplies the trout fishermen a great exposure. But you can fly fish for any species, pike, bass, the trouts, of course, salmon, just about anything, even carp. They're starting now, we see articles in magazines about carp, fly fishing for carp.
So how do we get started? I think probably the best idea would be to contact the club.
Yes. They could contact us at, actually my office is the address of the club, and we have obviously a phone line in that's answered 10 hours a day, and we can certainly, we're ready, willing, and able to take new members and try to help them into the sport.
Well, this is foreign territory to me, but I do love to fish, so that's why I'm here. I want to learn how to fly fish. Mm-hmm. So coming up on Newswatch at 5:30, Barry will show us how to do just that. Stay tuned. First, though, let's head back to the studio where Bill Hutchins is standing by with a look at the day's top news. Bill.
Here's a look at what's coming up on Newswatch at 6. A personnel bombshell has exploded in the Canadian Armed Forces. Military police say some soldiers tried to poison a former warrant officer in Croatia.
So when we're instructing someone to fly fish, usually we're teaching them in a river, and we're up to our belly button in water, wearing chest waders. But whether that's the case or whether you're on a lake, the start is pretty much the same. You have to get the fly line off of the reel in order to get it stretched out onto the water. So we get a little bit of line out by pulling it off the reel, but we need a little more in order to make a cast. So we shake the line back and forth, and as you can see, it comes out easily. What I'm doing here is stripping. Obviously, when we're in a stream and we've cast and the fly is traveling in that direction, or as it is here, we need to keep control of that fly, and we do it in a method called stripping. Fly casting and spin casting and bait casting have a similar action in that you use the rod to throw the lure. In the case of fly casting, you use the rod to throw the line. When we start the cast, there's fly line on the water, and when we move our forearm and our wrist backward, the line on the water causes the rod to bend that way. And then the weight of the line causes it to bend the other way, and the result is the rod flexing throws the fly line. Looks complicated? Isn't. One of the faults in fly casting we see a lot, seems to be me, especially amongst women, is that they're inclined to break their wrist and allow the fly line to hit bottom at the back. It's not a difficult fault to correct. but definitely you lose distance on the cast, and usually results in you throwing it up in the air like that. We want it to go straight back, straight forward, and land lightly. The particular fly I'm using is a muddler minnow. It imitates a minnow, as the designation might imply. It's now running through the water as I'm stripping and acting like a minnow. A new phenomenon that's come onto the fishing scene, especially fly fishing, is float tubing. It's certainly not intended for fast water. It's intended for this type of water, where it's relatively calm and there isn't any dangerous current. But what it does is it keeps a very low profile. As a matter of fact, on this lake, the owner, Chris Fisher, would tell you that the most successful fishermen are those fishing from float tubes. Now, is it because of the quieter approach with the propulsion system? Well, and the propulsion system is flippers on the feet of the person in the float tube, and just as much as the scuba divers use. And so what we saw today here was that the boat fishermen didn't do anywhere nearly as well as the float tube fishermen. And there has to be something to it. There's something to be said for that low profile.
I'm Rob McDonald with Sports Watch, and it looks like the City of Ottawa will once again have a CF.
It's like a lot of fun, but it still seems to be a man's sport. Women like Carol Wright are working to change that, though. Carol, you're getting women out this Saturday in Napanee. What's that all about?
Well, it's the first Kingston area fly fishing club's attempt to bring women in. It's a one-day workshop. We have real women of Hamilton coming in. There are 2 instructors. We have 20 people, all as keen as it's possible to be. Most of them are pretty rank beginners, and probably 5 may have had some experience before. So I think that there are a lot of people out there that have just been dying to try it, and this has given them the ideal opportunity to do it.
Saturday's course is, completely booked, so you are off to a great start.
We are into a waiting list, and we are hoping very much that we can rerun this. And I think that we'll do it successfully. One day is really a very small. This is a very cerebral, thinking man's way of fishing. And I think that women understand this. It's an intellectual thing. It hits you on lots of levels. There's so much to learn. It's not just like throwing a rod in the water and hoping that you'll catch a fish. You've got to read the water, you've got to read the rocks, you've got to find out what they're feeding on. There's a lot to learn. It's a lot of fun.
And it's also very zen from the looks of it. How much enjoyment do you get out of this?
Well, let us say that I went to a dog specialty last September, and it was probably the most frantic day of my life. I was showing 2 dogs, and it was sheer hell. And the next day I went fly fishing, and I thought, okay, to hell with dogs. I've met it. This is where I want to be. So yeah, it really is. It's a terribly peaceful thing to do. None of us really have time. We just do not have time to make for ourselves. And I think that's one of the things that I've done, that it has allowed me to take even 20 minutes a day just for myself. And that's rare. We just don't do that anymore.
How welcoming is the Kingston and area fly fishing club to women?
I think they're a little bit, I don't know, nonplussed to have so much interest. Suddenly they've got 20 women who want to learn fly fishing, and I think it took them a little by surprise. But I think that they've been extremely gracious, because it has been a man's club. And they really have been very, very kind to me. And I've learned a lot just from them. They have great evenings where they tie flies. They have wonderful speakers every month. And I think it's been a good experience. Actually, this club is larger than Montreal.
Really?
Yes, we had 52 members last year, and we're approaching that or more again this year, and the year is still young. So we have very enthusiastic.
Don't worry. Be happy.
great thing. The best fishing prize by any fishing club in Canada. Maybe the U.S. too. All day today. Again.
Yeah, I'll give it to Marine.
So, want to go back out?
What do you think?
All right, let's go.
Whoa,
We're going.
Going up for another round.
We're going.
the big ones.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for you, Rich.
No, you can keep him up.
She won't.